Top 10 richest people in history. Think Elon Musk is rich? Jeff Bezos? Bill Gates? What if I told you that none of them even come close to the richest people in history? We're talking about fortunes so massive, they make modern billionaires look like amateurs. Imagine having so much gold, land, and power that you could crash an entire country's economy just by visiting. In this video, we're diving into the top 10 richest people in history, adjusted for inflation and historical context. These individuals didn't just buy yachts. They owned empires, influenced nations, and redefined the meaning of wealth. This isn't your average Forbes list. This is wealth beyond comprehension. Ready to have your mind blown? Let's get into it. Genghis Khan. Let's start with a name you definitely know. Genghis Khan, the fearsome Mongol warlord who built the largest contiguous empire in human history. Now here's where it gets wild. While he didn't hoard wealth in the traditional sense, gold, jewels, mansions, Genghis Khan's net worth was incalculable because he literally owned everything within his empire. Every inch of land, every resource, every subject was under his command. The Mongol Empire didn't have private property like we understand today. So, in a way, Genghis Khan was richer than any modern billionaire simply because he was the state. Imagine being able to command armies, collect tributes from entire nations, and never worry about a price tag. That's not just wealth, that's absolute control. John D. Rockefeller. Now let's talk cold, hard cash. John D. Rockefeller is often considered the richest American to ever live. At his peak, his net worth, adjusted for inflation, was over $400 billion. That's more than Musk and Bezos combined. As the founder of Standard Oil, Rockefeller controlled around 90% of the U.S. oil industry during its rise. The level of monopoly he held was so massive that it eventually got broken up by the U.S. government under antitrust laws. But even after that, his wealth kept compounding. But don't get it twisted. Rockefeller was also ruthless in business, crushing competitors and rewriting the rules of capitalism. When people say money talks, Rockefeller's money shouted. He wasn't just rich, he shaped the modern economic world. Mansa Musa. You can't have a list like this without mentioning Mansa Musa, the 14th century emperor of Mali. His fortune is so legendary that many historians say he was the richest person to ever live, period. How rich? Try over $400 billion, and that's conservative. Musa ruled over one of the wealthiest gold-producing regions in the world, and he literally flooded markets with so much gold that he crashed the economy of Cairo during his famous pilgrimage to Mecca. Imagine walking through a city where the streets are lined with gold, and your emperor is just giving it away like candy. Mansa Musa wasn't just a king, he was a living god of gold. Augustus Caesar. What happens when you own an empire? You become Augustus Caesar, the first emperor of Rome and one of the wealthiest men in human history. By the time he died, Augustus controlled personal wealth estimated at 1/5 of the entire Roman Empire's economy. Adjusted for modern value, we're talking about $4.6 trillion. Yes, with a T. As the absolute ruler of Rome, he had direct access to taxes, land, armies, and all the spoils of conquest. He even made it official. He called himself Princeps, the first citizen. But in reality, he was the richest and most powerful man in the known world. You think Wall Street is influential? Augustus was the economy. Andrew Carnegie. You've probably heard the name, but you might not realize just how filthy rich Andrew Carnegie really was. Born dirt poor in Scotland, Carnegie immigrated to America and rose to become the king of steel. At the height of his career, his wealth adjusted for inflation reached over $370 billion. He sold his steel empire to J.P. Morgan in one of the biggest deals in history, and then did something few billionaires do today. He gave it away. Carnegie donated 90% of his fortune to libraries, universities, and charities, saying, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." But don't let the philanthropy fool you. He was a tough businessman who dominated the steel industry with brutal efficiency. His wealth built America's infrastructure, but his legacy built its institutions. King Solomon. Moving into ancient history, we can't forget King Solomon, the biblical ruler known for his wisdom and his wealth. According to religious texts and historical estimates, Solomon's wealth would be worth hundreds of billions, possibly even trillions today. His kingdom was overflowing with gold, silver, spices, and treasures, and his influence extended across the ancient world. Ships from faraway lands brought him tribute, and the Bible claims he received 25 tons of gold every year, just as a regular income. Whether you take it as history, scripture, or both, Solomon's fortune was so vast it became mythological. He was more than a king. He was a symbol of divine prosperity, Jakob Fugger. Now here's a name you might not know, but should. Jakob Fugger, also known as Fugger the Rich, was a 16th century German banker whose wealth and power rivaled emperors. At one point, he was so wealthy that he financed the rise of the Habsburg dynasty, essentially choosing who got to rule parts of Europe. His net worth? Estimated at over $400 billion in today's money. Fugger didn't just make money, he owned kings. While others were buying land or trading goods, Fugger was writing checks that changed history. He turned finance into a weapon and became one of the most secretly powerful men ever to live. William the Conqueror. He wasn't just rich, he took wealth by force. William the Conqueror, after invading England in 1066, redistributed nearly all the land to himself and his loyalists. In today's terms, his personal wealth has been estimated at over $230 billion. As king, he owned virtually all of England and implemented a new system of taxation and land control that made the monarchy insanely powerful and wealthy. That wasn't just administration, it was fiscal domination. William's story is a reminder that sometimes wealth isn't earned, it's taken, with a sword in one hand and a crown in the other. Mir Osman Ali Khan. Next up, we've got a man who was so rich he used diamonds as paperweights. Mir Osman Ali Khan, the last Nizam of Hyderabad in India, ruled over a kingdom so wealthy, his fortune was estimated at over $230 billion in today's money. At his peak, he was considered the richest man in the world, owning tons of gold and a private collection of jewels beyond imagination. His personal collection included the famous Jacob diamond, which he casually kept in his office drawer. He built universities, hospitals, and infrastructure that still serves parts of India today. He was a monarch, a banker, and a walking treasure vault. Cornelius Vanderbilt. Closing out the list is the man who built America's transport empire, Cornelius Vanderbilt. With an adjusted fortune of $200 billion, Vanderbilt made his money through railroads and shipping. He started with a $100 loan and ended up controlling vast transportation networks that essentially moved the American economy. He was a hard-nosed businessman who didn't believe in charity, but he did believe in legacy. His real power wasn't just in his bank account, it was in the infrastructure he owned. Every train that moved goods, every ship that crossed oceans, that was his network. He didn't just make money, he made America run. Which one shocked you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get the conversation going. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more jaw-dropping content, and share it with your friends so they can be just as blown away. Until next time, stay curious and stay ambitious.